Richard Lane, and because Rosie has created this safe space, I wanted to share with you that Richard Lane, if you didn't know him, was a very talented musician whose musicianship and songwriting went well beyond Fremantle, well beyond Australia in fact, and he was also a teacher of music, and he taught hundreds if not thousands of people in Fremantle about music, and he was one of the most generous people I've ever met. And he died about 4 years ago, and we didn't get to celebrate because it was COVID, and we had to herd musicians, and it took 4 years, and it was in April. And we only know each other because we're friends with Richard Lane, so rather than go into a spiral of grief, I thought we could corkscrew into the world with the love and kindness of Richard. And so we're just the friends of Richard Lane. This is Steve Gibbo on guitar. This is Sean Hoffman on drums, and I'm Damon Hurst on words and vocals. We've got some mixed works to share with you tonight. I've titled it Homer's Dream, not Homer Simpson, Homer, because Homer is one of our most famous poets from antiquity, and it's a long time ago, and you've got to remember he came from an oral tradition. So it could be just had a really nice voice and he was a town crier, or might have been good on the chisel, which was the early writing, of course. My poems usually turn into series. The same ideas keep rolling on down the line, seemingly without an end. What can you do? Tonight we have 3 poems across 2 series. The first and the third are from a series called The Sirens, and the middle one is about a character, Frank and his dream. Why the title Homer's Dream? Well, the one thing poets don't do is question dreams. You just got to sit around and wait till something comes. So I knew through research that my Sirens referencing ultimately went back to Homer, and Frank had a dream, so I got that. And then I just sat there for days, if not weeks, waiting for an inspiration. And then I realised that I'd be standing here right in the middle of the Olympics. And that would be the 33rd Olympiad. And in Roman numerals, that's like a kiss, 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 stroke, stroke, stroke. Quite an erotic number, if you ask me. And it's only in 1896 the modern Olympics started. It's only 124 years of our history. And we've been around for 300,000 years, so you've got to think. The first Olympics were in 796 BCE. And when I say BCE, I mean before Christianity and all that extraneous crap that stopped us being confident as humans. 2,800 years ago. And at those first Olympics, events were recorded, but no winners were recorded, because maybe winning didn't mean as much back then. The events included poetry. And hear this, Homer, 800 BCE, the first Olympics, 796 BCE, give or take 25 years. Was Homer in fact the first Olympic poet? Maybe. Homer's works included the Iliad and the Odyssey. The Iliad is about the Trojan War, and some of you will see that image of the Trojan horse immediately. The Odyssey is the journey home. Both of those books covered 10 years, 24 books within each. One of them was The Sirens. That 20,000 to 2,800-year-old image of the Sirens. What do you see? Blokes in a rowing boat looking to the rocky cliffs. It's before the internet, it's before marketing, certainly before lingerie. What were they wearing? Underwear? I reckon they were wearing goat wear. But I'll tell you this, Homer never described what they looked like. He left it to people's imagination. And for the first 500 years, up until the Christians, men and women were depicted as sirens in all the artworks. And what does that tell you? Heterosexuality is not the only thing, and it never fucking has been. So let's just remember that. What Homer's works didn't have was the rock star. the rock goddess, because that only started in 1952 with Big Mama Thornton. And that's where we're going to start tonight. We're going to do the rock goddess add to the Homer's Odyssey. At a recent memorial gig for Roland S. Howard, Adelita, the rock goddess, strode onto the stage, unplugged one, then plugged in another, her microphone. She might have been midway singing the second of one of his songs when the female stranger next to me mouthed into my ear, "What do you make of her? So hot!" I'd scream my response too loudly. I know this to be true, because other strangers now stare at me. Reproachfully I self-reflect, then add, well, what I mean is, it's nice to see a mature person out there strutting their stuff. And we'd know about being mature, wouldn't we? Ha, ha, ha. She laughed then added, "You're pretty hot yourself." I spontaneously replied, "Well, so are you." I can now sense her male partner's reproach-filled presence. Then she took off her well-worn denim jacket, revealing pearls of sweat on the tattooed nape of her neck. Then suddenly she went, got a drink from the bar. On her return, I sensed she was keen to break our circle of two with ice, so as to shed off the unresolved, the discontent. About a month later, I decided to write this story down before it's gone, long forgotten. Then I wondered if this tale was just a fantasy about Adelita that I'd somehow made up, so as to plaster over my own real life of sexual discontent. I know a girl called Adelita was singing with all she had for Roland that night, but I still wonder, what song of Roland's was she singing? Right there, right then. I know a girl called Joan. Ends never ends, ends never ends. Ends never ends, ends never ends, ends never ends. Our next one here is called Frank's Western Dream. Anyone familiar with The Wire, the HBO series? Well, if you're not, before Netflix and Apple Music, the distributors, someone had to come up with the content, and HBO changed the whole way we view things. It used to be 3 hours at the cinema, and they came with like 30-hour things, and The Wire was the first one. And I was so in love with it, I wrote this story based on the Wire format, which sort of seeds in little facts in this box at the bottom of the program, and when you first start watching it, you think, I'm not going to read that because I can work it out. And then you think, no, I'm going to read that because I can't work it out. And so I'm just doing episode 1, but these facts go to episode 8. It's just 1. And it's about the formation of a band. And it's about the formation of post-punk rock. And because we're old fuckers, we're passing on real life information to you from 1982. You know the second incarnation of this band because they're called Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Everyone knows about them. But do you know about the birthday party? Good. So the artists are Nick and Roland, the same Roland from the first one. The protagonists are Nick and Roland. And I went to the Heidi Museum on the outskirts of Melbourne, and there was an exhibition by Jenny Watson there, and there was a room full of homage to the birthday party. And someone, never killed a stranger, just said, "Oh my God, Nick, he's so amazing. Isn't Nick amazing?" I was like, what about the fucking band? What about the sound? What about the creativity? What about the writing? It's not just the singer. And I went into a sort of madness to try and get Roland back in the game. So yeah, this is Frank's Western Dream. It starts like this. Maybe have a prop, please. An empty chip packet tumbles by. A full guitar riff escapes from a basement rehearsal. A snare ring reverberates from a mistimed hit. These are the sounds of music that unify us time immemorial. And so it is with this story. An opening scene, then a story within a story within the history of Australian post-punk rock. Come on down my rabbit hole. There is no beginning, there is no ending. You'll know when we're finished because I will say, ends never ends. Forehead on the front door of their nouveau riche home at 25 Socrates Parade, North 2G, facing the marina. 2E2G, so you've foreseen the murder scene, so now you get the backstory starting in Melbourne. Frank turned 18 in 78, that very day of AM coffees. The mates were frothing for frothies. Their conversation was a great debate as to where to celebrate his first legitimate night out, a pub or a club. Unbeknown to Frank, his old man, the cat man, as he was known to his mate, who taught art by day and played bass in a rockabilly band by night, had the birthday party all sorted. The cat man's band anchored Thursday nights at the Esky. Their rider rode the backstage Esky to the front of stage and into the arms of his pesky, permanently broke art students. His favourite, who could have swapped his first name for his last, went simply by the initial of his middle name, S. By pulling a few strings off a chord where due, the cat man arranged for S's band to play their first gig at the SP on the Thursday night that Frank turned 18, concisely described on the private invitation and the public poster as the birthday party, birthday party. The party night and day that changed everything became a job. Frank did an apprenticeship in amplifier muscle building, loving the ride on the burgeoning art scene, avoiding the bulging underbelly of the white horse, and he was able to keep fit too. A lower back injury, the reward for rescuing a teaching martial double stack led to an addiction to prescribed painkillers, overcome with cultivated cannabinoids, and the art of yoga taught by Dane, an ex-pro surfer from Hawaii, who, like a lot of his contemporaries, had picked up good and bad habits in Vietnam. A good day started together at dawn on the foreshore in front of Luna Park, with meditation and a salute to the sun, followed by hand-to-hand combat, jungle style. Walked down with coffee and cake in Atkins Street, endless chatter with known passers-by, then span a computer with Greek salad for lunch at the Galleon, all punctuated by Dane's tales from surfing's frontier. After they were done, Dane went on the nod, leaving Frank to his second daily workout, which ultimately led to a new career as that friendly but deadly bouncer. Their new shared habit was friendship, fueled by Frank's desire to be taught to surf by Dane and to live near, know to see daily, a more lively sea than dead flat St Kilda. Scene changed, died a little. So Frank up shipmates from Fitzroy Street, St Kilda, moved to Brunswick Street, Fitzroy, establishing his new residency by the free pool table at the Labour in Bain pub. Living the dream, 5 years ahead of the crowd, Frank taught the ladies how to play, shouting the odd oversized bag of twisties, always surfing on a bowl. He was also known for his low-level cannabinoid distribution. Strictly medicinal use only, and himself came with a cautionary tale. By night, there was, of course, the band business to attend to. Another decade done by, punctuated by a recurring dream, the Western Dream, as Frank liked to call it. Based on a map of the Zeitdorf Cliffs, a bouncer made a dot for 1 William Rowe after a cheap nasties gig at the Governor Broome Hotel, who got it from a bloke who was supposed to have swindled the Perth Mint. It's now 2013. Some 35 years later, Frank's 53 on his way to the official opening of Roland S. Howard Lane to honour S's contribution to St Kilda and the music world's post-punk scene, when he has an epiphany. It stopped him dead in the Atkins Street tram tracks. My rock and roll heaven is going to hell. I've got to change, but for what? Dane led a cavalcade of Harley Davidsons ridden by vets with hats, starting at Atkins Street, then down Essex Beauty Day Lane, past Luna Park, finishing where it all began, at the Espy, for an after's party and fundraiser. Whilst the Catman's band had a break, Frank helped out Dane with the option. The highest selling item was an oil painting of the words. An original oil painting by Jenny Watson titled An Original Oil Painting, Black and White, for Nick Cave, which the singer, perhaps ironically, waved around the stage in '79. Frank waved that, then beckoned, then handed the oil painting to the highest bidder on the night, one Yarrow Street. Their hands touched, so their eyes met, then watched the thank you words form on each other's lips. Frank's sub and consciousness collided. He felt his internal world change, just like that. But to what? Ends never end, ends never end, ends never end, ends never end. We got one more, it's a short one. In case you're worn out with all those words. There was 1,300 words, you got 100 to go. Now, I'll tell you something. I'm 63 years old. As you'd expect, I'm a sage on relationships. Watch me, I'm going to provide some advice. On the inhalation, you will see the Buddha. On the exhalation, you will see the Buddha's face. On the inhalation, you will see the Buddha's eye. On the exhalation, you will enter the eye. And you will see Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee will say to you, my style, I have no style. I flow like water. And you'll be happy with that advice until that river meets your internal sea. This is the Sirens, episode 4, Reflections. Rosie, we love you.